Hello everybody, welcome back to Literature Tale Explorations. Today we are going to study about The Solitary Reaper written by William Wordsworth. Now, William Wordsworth is my personal favorite. He was born in the year 1770 in Cumberland, England. He was the second child among five children born to John Wordsworth and Anne Cookson. He was also very close to his sister Dorothy Wordsworth, who was 1 year younger to him. And Dorothy Wordsworth is also a poet and a diarist. William Wordsworth is considered one of the greatest poets in the Romantic age in English literature. He wrote poems like An Evening Walk, the descriptive sketches, Tintern Abbey, the Prelude. Also, one of his poems, it is a beauteous evening calm, and he talks about criticism and new criticism. It was in the year 1795 he met Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and they together wrote lyrical ballads and published them in 1798. William Wordsworth lived up to 1850. Now, the present poem, The Solitary Reaper, was written when he and his sister, that is Dorothy Wordsworth and William Wordsworth, when they went to this tour to Scotland, and they have encountered this very small incident, and which impressed William Wordsworth, and he wrote that in the form of the poem. So now let us see what the poem is all about. Behold her single in the field, yon solitary highland lass. Now the poet is like, watch her, there's a woman single in the field. Also he says, yon solitary highland lass, that alone or single woman, single girl in a mountainous place. Now lass is the word for girl, basically a Scottish girl. Now the poet is like, watch her, she's single in the field, that girl in a mountainous place, that alone girl in a mountainous place. Reaping and singing by herself, stop here or gently pass. Now that lady, that woman is cutting the crops, also singing to herself. Now the poet is like, you either stop here and listen to her, or you walk quietly, or you gently pass from there and you listen to her. Alone she cuts and binds the grain and sings a melancholy strain. Now that woman, she's cutting the crops and binding them, she's binding the grains. Also she's singing a sad song, melancholy strain. Oh listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. Now the poet is like, oh listen to her music, because due to her music, the valley is deeply overflowing with the music, with her music. No nightingale did ever chaunt more welcome notes to weary bands of travelers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. Now the poet is like, now the tone of the poet changes, like he's comparing her singing to a nightingale and saying that her singing is more beautiful than a nightingale, in a way that he has never listened to a nightingale sing more soothing notes to the tired group of travelers who rest at an oasis in the Arabian deserts. A voice so thrilling never was heard in springtime from the cuckoo bird. Now again he compares her singing to the cuckoo bird, saying that he has never heard a voice that is so thrilling even from the cuckoo bird which sings during the springtime. Breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. Now the poet is like, her music is even breaking the silence of the seas among the far away places in the Hebrides. Hebrides is the group of islands in Scotland. So the poet is like, her music is so beautiful that it is going to the far away places, far off places in that island. Will no one tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow for old unhappy far off things and battles long ago. Now the poet is like, he knows that woman is singing something and she is singing a sad song. He identifies that with her tune, but he doesn't know what actually she's singing about. So he's asking everybody that, will anybody tell me what she is singing about? And again the poet is doing this guesswork, like perhaps the plaintive numbers flow. Maybe she's singing these mournful notes or the sad notes for old unhappy far off things and battles long ago. Maybe for some old or some unhappiness or something that has happened in the past or some ancient battles. Is she singing about them? Now the poet is doing this guesswork. Or is it some more humble lay, familiar matter of today? Now the poet is like, or is it some more simple on the real song that is related to the familiar matter that is happening today? Some natural sorrow, loss or pain that has been and may be again. And he is like, is it some personal loss that she has experienced in her life? Or is it some pain that she is going through? Or some natural sorrow, grief that has already happened in her life, or something that is continuing or that is happening even today. Whatever the theme, the maiden sang, as if her song could have no ending. I saw her singing at her work and over the sickle bending. Now, after doing all the possible guesswork on what the song is all about and everything, now the poet finally is like, whatever the theme this maiden sang, this unmarried young woman sang, she sang it as if it could have no ending to it. I saw her singing at her work and over the sickle bending. Now he again mentions that I saw her doing this singing while she was cutting those crops with the sickles and she was binding those grains. I listened motionless and still. So while she was doing this work and she was singing the song with utmost beauty, the poet was so admired that he stood there, he motionless, without any movement, still, and he was listening to her singing. And as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore long after it was heard no more. Now, the poet ends the poem by saying that as he moved up the hill, he could hear the song no more, but yet he carried that song within his heart and throughout the trip. So, this is all about the Solitary Reaper. I hope you all liked it. See you all in the next video. Bye bye.